Okay, so we've been mentioning today several times the concept of fake news. Well, that is a very nuanced concept, and we are particularly interested in two aspects of fake news. And one is disinformation, which is information that is incorrect by design, so is used to spread confusion. And the other one is misinformation, which is information that is incorrect by mistake. And I have to say that this second type is much more frequent in our environment than the first one. So, okay, we have always said this phenomena. It are nothing new since government exists. Since intelligence exists, since journalism exists, we have had misinformation and disinformation. However, the situation is much worse today because of the connectivity that we have, because of the pervasiveness of distribution channels, because infrastructures are so complex and they're so hidden, and particularly because of lack of trust in traditional institutions and in traditional sources of information. So, how did I move from truth to trust? Well, first of all, we cannot access the truth unless we build a time machine. The only way we can know the truth is indirectly. That is, with witness testimony and with records. That is, with the written accounts of the facts and the instruments of the actions, which together represent the documentary truth, which is the only one that counts. But in both cases, to understand what is true depends on how much we trust whoever says it. So what is trust? Is a word we have used today a million times, but we have not defined it. Well, trust is seen as a four-level progression. There is individual trust, interpersonal trust, relational, societal. We don't care much about those. What we care as professionals is confidence that we can have in another party. That is, a party that has the same values as we have. So it is an alignment of value systems with respect to specific things. So substantially, trust means acting without the knowledge that we need to act, substituting information that we do not have with information that we have. Archives are our primary source of evidence because they have been generated in the usual and ordinary course of business as a means for carrying out that business, and because they were not produced to answer the questions we ask today. So, in the context of our culture, records and archives are the infrastructure through which beliefs and values are upheld and understood, because they provide evidence of facts and acts for purposes of transparency, accountability, protection of rights, and so on. However, in order to be evidence, they must be trustworthy. So that's another word we have heard many times. What is trustworthiness in archival science? It is made up of three things: reliability, accuracy, and authenticity. Reliability is the trustworthiness of the content, of the record as a statement of fact. So we have to make an inference to understand whether something is reliable. We understand it from the competence of the author and from the controls of records creation. For example, a diagnosis made by a doctor is likely more reliable than one made by a mom on a child. And the controls of records creation are probably better trusted in a system that has procedures rather than in a system that is improvised. So reliability has to do with content. Accuracy has to do with data. that is with the precision of the data in the content. And it is based, once again, on the competence of the author, but also on controls on transmission. Authenticity is the trustworthiness of a record as a record. It means that the record has not been tampered with and has not been corrupted. So you can have an authentic record that is completely unreliable and inaccurate if it is the record that says it is. So we base authenticity on two factors, identity and integrity. Now, the identity of a record is given by contextual factors. Who has created it? In the course of what activity? In the course of what procedures? At what time? In what context? Integrity, instead, has to do with the fact that the material record is intact. So, too often we confuse authenticity, which is one of the three elements of trustworthiness, with authentication. Authentication is a declaration of authenticity, and it is based on material proof, or on inference, or on deduction. So in the digital environment, as we move from theory to practice, how do we authenticate digital facts? Well, the most common way is a chain of legitimate custody. It's the fundamental ground for inferring authenticity. The second way is a digital chain of custody, which means that we keep information about all the modification of the record over time. The third way, which is actually the one that is embedded in our legislation in Canada and in our standards, is an inference that is made based on the trustworthiness of the system in which the record exists. So we don't prove that the record is authentic, but we infer that the record is authentic from the fact that the system has not been tampered with. Okay? So, but this is again a declaration of authenticity. It doesn't mean that the record is authentic. It only means that it is considered to be so. Now, we today and yesterday have spoken about technology-dependent authentication. That is, instead of having an officer or a person with authority to do so, to declare that something is authentic, we use technology to ensure that something is not tampered with. And the digital signature, we have spoken about it, is about bitwise integrity, which means it only guarantees that the bits maintain the same value and order. But doesn't mean that the record can be trusted, doesn't mean that the record is reliable or accurate. It says nothing about the validity, the truthfulness of the content. Blockchain technology, we will hear from Victoria Lemieux later, is now used to ensure that the integrity of a record is confirmed, that the fact that a record existed or was created is ascertained, and the sequence of the records. However, again, Vicky will explain that the blockchain technology doesn't assure authenticity of records in a record-keeping system. Inter pares, as Boy has just said, has developed this idea of a trust chain in which, for me, the most important part is not so much that archival institutions collaborate into a shared integrated chain, but it is that this chain starts when the records are created. So there is a collaboration with the creator of the records. So the records are put in a chain from the moment they're generated and maintained in such chain through time as then they come under the control of the archives. What is important about this is the fact that if you identify the records that will be preserved permanently at the creation moment, you associate them according to the classification system, according to a retention disposition schedule, because the records that are on a blockchain cannot be removed. So getting to the truth, what does that mean? And with this, I close. Well, it means, yes, to use all of these concepts to identify whether we're dealing with content that can be trusted, data that can be trusted, and the fact that the record has not been corrupted. And for this, we may know that we have access to certain facts, but whose truth is it? So the idea is not just getting to a truth, is getting to the specific truth that we need to verify in a specific context. To do so, we need to use archival principles. We need to collaborate with technology experts. But mostly, we need to produce tools that enable people to access complete factual, contextual information, because the truth is never in one statement, in one record, or even in one font. It is in the whole context in which that specific record belongs. And with this, I will tell you, if we do all of this, if we build this amazing system, will they come? No, they won't. We still need to be able to produce tools that attract the people to us rather than to Wikipedia and Facebook. So good luck to all of you, because that's what the archival profession will have to do. If you would like to see some of this information on the internet, go to interparestrust.org.